All right, welcome to the first episode of the Budo Combat Podcast. There were supposed to be three of us, however, hey, we will go by the cuff. That's a saying, right? We'll go by the cuff, Parviz.
Definitely, man.
Yeah, I mean, hey, this is sometimes a punishment of sorts. We get started
It's
before
a
everyone
reward
shows up.
because I think it's a reward because we get to get introduced to another person so spontaneously.
Yeah, no, exactly. I like that as well. I like that viewpoint that we're not overly formal about this. Um, I mean, obviously, this is important, but why don't we just get started? Um,
Sure.
we'll start off with some quick introductions. So, Budo Combat Podcast, thank you guys very much for joining. This is episode number one. We talk about a number of things, and every individual on the podcast here, all three of us, play an important role. We're all very important. You know what? I'll just hand the ball to you, Perez. Why don't you introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name is Parviz, but my friends call me Par. It's a short form of name. It's a good way to remember me by. So that's mainly the reason I can be also known as Par. Not that it's a synonym or a metaphor for anything else, but I don't know. I like to think that it's cool. Like it's to be on par is just to be okay. And I'm okay with being just okay. But I still want to be great. I still want to accomplish great things. So, don't let that par name get to your head, okay? Because I certainly haven't let it got to mine. Anyways, yeah, I'm just a normal person that has a lot of opinions, and I try to be reflective. I try to see what's going on, and I just want to be someone that can help people, or at least be able to realize more about myself and others. That's pretty much how I'll describe myself.
Normal guy who likes to um, analyze things, definitely, right?
Definitely.
Yeah, big observer. Oh, we got Mr. CJ on the call joining us from all the way from Ontario, Canada. What's up,
Yeah.
CJ? Thanks for joining. We were just giving some quick introductions.
Hold on.
Oh, oh, is CJ muted?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
hey.
what's going on?
Yo, we're just in the introduction phase. So, hey, man, we ended up starting this without you, even though you're a very important member. But we figured we had to, we were going by the cuff, basically, because I think we were a couple minutes over. But that's how we do it here on this podcast. But hey, I haven't even given my full introduction yet. So Par spoke to himself, and we'll throw it
Mhm.
to you, man.
Okay, so pretty much, I'm Chris. I've been out of work for a little while because I've been chronically sick during the start of the pandemic. So basically, what I did was I've tried to take care of my body as well as I could from the the start of when my symptoms started, and now I'm kind of just managing the symptoms on a daily basis. So yeah, it's been pretty tough, hanging in there, just like everybody else. So what I did for work was basically I worked as a software analyst for a machine intelligence company. I've been doing this for a few years now, and it's been good. I've been learning a lot, growing. So yeah, that's pretty much what I've been doing.
It's awesome, man. Thank you very much for that for that introduction.
Give it up for CJ McCullum.
Wait, only I may do that.
Okay, I'm sorry. I took your spot.
No problem.
I
No
took
problem.
your introduction spot.
No problem. Um, Thank you for that, Chris. I mean, hey, Chris, there's a lot for me to learn about that as well on your part, you know, because we've been friends I mean, I've known Chris and Parwiz for a long time. I've known Chris since high school, and I've known Parwiz since first year co-op, I would say, right? So second year university-ish for me. Um, and I guess like our relationship has been pretty good over time for both of us. But yeah, no, as I was saying, like I think you guys are definitely very special people. Just like how I think I'm a special person too. And there's a lot. There's a lot. There's a lot that I think. What's that?
The feeling is mutual, brother. The feeling is mutual.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
And yeah, no, there's a lot that I felt like we always offer to each other amongst ourselves with our unique experiences. You know, we've all been through different unique scenarios, situations, experiences, and we've put our own little signature stamp on it as well. Because what are we? We're a combination of nature, who we are ourselves, and nurture, so our physical environment. And I think all three of us have a unique signature of all that. So we have a lot to offer in terms of interesting conversations, interesting viewpoints. And hey, I always say that conversations hit their peak in groups of three. Or I can just shorten that and say conversations hit their peak with Parways and Chris. No, joking. That was that.
Yeah.
Okay, introduction on my part. My name is Aziz, aka Zeus, aka Azus. You know, not to get too into the whys on all that. What do you call it? Alias? Hey, it's cool to have aliases sometimes, right? I think you guys have aliases too. You guys have multiple names. So, do we want to get into each one? No, we don't. I mean, online at least. But yeah, a little bit about myself. Hey, I've always really been into martial arts. I've been a little bit alternative in my viewpoints and thinking. Sometimes I'm very opinionated on certain things. I question a lot of things, and I mean, one of my hobbies is I like to ponder and a daydream. So I know that's an interesting hobby. I have a lot of hobbies. As part of my self-development, I'm always trying to learn new skills and such. So, you know, I've tried hard not to like spend a lot of time watching mainstream shows, mainstream media, and pop culture and all that. Just in my opinion, it seems like too many people these days are hold on to pop culture a little too tightly to the point where it becomes their value system. It's their day-to-day interactions, how they judge people is based on what they see in pop culture and what's accepted in pop culture. So, I mean, this is one of those hierarchy of needs, you know, self-actualization things. I've tried to self-actualize for a long time to the point where I don't care what other people think, while still realizing optics is very important. Image is very important, and people will judge regardless, just like how we may judge other people regardless as well for our own defense mechanisms, and our own patterns that we've identified over time. But yeah, I mean, my introduction's getting a little bit extended right now, but yeah, I'm into philosophy, I'm into some technology, I'm into putting the two together, philosophizing different new technologies and how they may work, and opportunities to invent things, invent new applications. I've been somewhat entrepreneurial minded, but I'm also really operational. And so, yeah, But I love martial arts. I love tech. Love operations. I love projects. I love business. I love getting things done. I spent a lot of time being utilitarian and trying to do utilitarian things in a faster way with less error. And so I'm trying to step away from that right now a little bit, and just hence the podcast, Budo Combat. We talked about a lot of different things. So right off the bat, quick summary: Aziz, Parwez, Chris, aka Zeus, Par, CJ, aka Azus, Parvez, Kai, and that's that. So lots of different topics that we'll go over on this podcast, and we appreciate you guys tuning in as well. It means a lot for us. Again, we're just a bunch of boys getting along, catching up amongst ourselves, always having good, unique conversations that we all learn from, that we all reach our peaks in, and we want to share that with you guys as well. So the first topic I think we wanted to get into is this is sort of a martial arts centered podcast, but we talked about a lot of things. But I believe we had discussed that at the top of the agenda, we would get right into martial arts right off the bat. So, what's some top news in the martial arts umbrella?
So, Aziz, what's up with? I want to first start by talking about your boy, your fucking boy, Nate Diaz. Nate Diaz. You heard the rumors? Have you heard the rumor mill?
Right now, yeah, was it him and Dustin Poirier? Something's going on there?
Yes. What do you think about that fight? And do you think it's going to happen?
I think it's a valid fight. I think that that's the fight to make right now. Look, there's too many fights that have been lost over the years. Fighting styles, fighting matchups between legends, and fighting styles, unique fighting styles. And we've lost that already with Nick Diaz, right? Legendary general, pretty much. The OG, DMF. We've lost so many good opportunities for fights there over the years. Finally, he pushed for Anderson Silva. They got it. But look, he was at his peak, and we missed so many good fights between Nick Diaz and, Damian Maia. That would have been good for history. Nick Diaz and Chris Weidman. That would have been good. Tyron Woodley. James Wonderboy Thompson, Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, and Nick Diaz. Just the clash in styles, right? And the experience that they both bring to the table. We had so much to see there, so much to learn from, and we missed all of it. So, Nate Diaz is still young. He's still been active. I still have a lot of good things to say about Nick, obviously, but we have to see that fight between Nate Diaz and Poirier. I really hope it happens.
Yeah, well, talking about missed opportunities, I see a big barrier in this fight. And this barrier is, not to mention, and I know we don't want to talk about it in a MMA podcast, but it's the reality, the Paul brothers. Rumor has it, in the last boxing match, Woodley versus Paul 2, Logan Paul and Diaz were actually speaking together. They weren't speaking in a confrontational way. They're actually trying to speak and keep things on the low. And funny as it may seem, Ariel Helwani ran in and put a camera in their face, because that's what the Ariel nose does, right? The nose knows that something was happening, a discussion was happening. So I think there's a big barrier for this fight because of money. Okay? Nate is on his last contract, and he's hearing these Paul brothers giving him nice offers. And Dustin Poirier is no walk in the park. I would argue that Dustin will likely win unless it's a 5-round fight, right? And that's what you got to do with an Nate Diaz fight, right? You got to make it 5 rounds, because the fight doesn't stop. He goes past the timeline of the fight. It stops when he's done. There's no timeline for Nate Diaz fights. So my biggest concern is that I don't think this fight's gonna happen, and it's another thing that's starting to worry me about MMA, which was great about it, is that you could make so many fights happen. But like you said, money, other issues, drug testing, other things that happened in the past, they're all barriers to make these great fights. So I don't know. Well, I hope it happens, but I'm not holding my breath on it, buddy. I'm not holding my breath.
I resonate with a lot of things you said, and yeah, these some of these guys are getting greatly underpaid for sure. So the Diaz brothers always knew their worth, and they put their time in as well. They're like building the sport. But yeah, so yeah, Chris, what are some of your thoughts on what was mentioned regarding some fights, some
Some
potential?
potential fights.
Yeah.
I definitely, would definitely want to see something like maybe we'll see, like a maybe Conor McGregor and like Nate Diaz again. The
Oh,
trilogy would be good too. But definitely the fights that you guys have mentioned, I think Nate and Poirier would also be really good too.
Yeah,
They could definitely put on a show, in my opinion. And
yeah,
it's
actually.
definitely a money fight, you know?
Oh, yeah, that's what I was gonna say. It is the money fight,
Yeah.
and I think that that's also the fight to make. So like, how is the UFC gonna do it? Are they gonna let the Poirier? Maybe what they should do is make the money fight for the money fight. Basically, Dustin Poirier and Nate Diaz battle it out to who gets to fight Conor McGregor. Because I don't know what your guys' thoughts is, but does Conor actually deserve a title shot with Oliveira at this point? And is it
No,
good
I
for
don't think
him?
so.
It's not. I don't know if it's good for him. What do you think, CJ?
Um, as far as Conor McGregor, I think he would like he's definitely not at the peak of his like fighting career anymore. Maybe I'm just judging that right now like too soon because
I'd
I
agree
don't
with that.
totally know. Uh, and yeah, he's like I think a lot of fighters can definitely benefit from fighting him for having for making money, especially the underpaid fighters, right? So I think yeah, like for sure, Conor McGregor is going to be he's going to still be very relevant in the fighting scene,
Yeah.
and they can make a lot of different kinds of fights with him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's also Tony Ferguson,
Oh
that
yeah.
which I think he deserves the Connor fight. If anyone deserves the Connor fight, it's that guy, man. He put his heart for the company. And it's sad to see that like I thought Dana was the type of guy that rewards these kind of people, you know? He acts like he loves guys that fights and fight. You know how many times Ferguson stepped up? How many times and he's still fighting and he's still going after like he's going after Chandler, like he's going after beasts just and it's because of his heart. But does he get rewarded for it? No.
yeah, yeah. I love
Yeah.
Tony Ferguson as well. He's also one of those OGs that also had his own style and sort of went against the grain in what was perceived as popular or sort of the right way to train. And that's one of the things I really like about Nick Diaz, Anderson Silva, Tony Ferguson. Um, they sort of push their own style in training. They push their own. They do it their own way. They recognize it's still a very new sport, and that styles. Everyone's body is different. Everyone's fighting style is different, and so your training should be aligned with your fighting style. But at the same time, obviously, we're always students of the game as well. And in martial arts, especially full contact, we're always continuously humbled. Um, so we don't want our ego to overpower things too much. We should also be humble and recognize that there's always opportunities to change our style and to be a good student of the game, learn new methods of doing things and step away sometimes, park your own methods and try something new. So it's that balance of, you know, refining existing strengths, but also working on your weaknesses and just continuously learning new things as well. One of those aligned with Bruce Lee's, some of his philosophies. Um, But yeah, McGregor, I agree, Chris. Yeah, look, he's a huge draw. Just I don't know. I think they're tying his name to the belt mainly because to keep things interesting. He may not actually deserve it, but um, yeah, I mean, obviously he's going to be playing that role. He thinks he's the best. If you think you're the best, you're going to call out the best. Um, he still has a chance everywhere. I mean, MMA isn't really like a fair sport in that sense. These aren't like pure tournament models. Um, a lot of it's business. So, um,
Yeah, right.
but super fights are always going to be there, and that's what I'm very interested in: styles against styles. So give Conor Ferguson, give him another Nate Diaz. I think Jorge would beat up Conor. I think Conor's gotten a little frail recently. I mean, I'm not. No, he's put on mass for sure. I'm one to talk, right? But I don't know. Poirier seemed a lot stronger, like more thick boned. Conor had some forward head posture in his last couple fights, I think. But he's another. Conor's a special fighter too. You know, he can fight from 145, I think, all the way to 185. I think he challenged Usman. One time he actually called in a 185 pounder as well. I think he's got the capabilities, man. One of those. I mean, hey, 185. Wow. He's one of those like he recognizes like what's good for the legacy. He recognizes it's not always about the belts, but yeah, he is still going to call out the man that holds the belt because everyone thinks that guy's the OG. He's already collected numerous belts. But hey, Nick Diaz was doing this way before Conor, man. Nick Diaz was fluctuating weight classes like crazy. Nick Diaz fought at 145, 155, 170, and 185 as well before Conor McGregor. BJ Penn was doing this as well. He fought Lyoto Machida at like 210 pounds. Lyoto was like 210. And BJ Penn fought him when he weighed like 198-ish. I mean, who accepts these fights, right? But that's what makes fighting interesting, I feel.
Yeah. So like what I think about Conor McGregor is that I agree with some of the sentiments. I don't think his biggest issue is frailty. I think his biggest issue is that the sport has evolved so much and he hasn't kept up with the evolution of the sport. And it's really hard to, because you got these guys from Dagestan, you got these wrestlers that have been wrestling, they have those muscles from when they were a kid. You can't compete with those guys. It's very hard to compete with those guys. And to start fresh, the sport previously had some wrestling, but it didn't have that level of wrestling when he was in his prime, when Conor was in his prime. So, you know, he's special. He was very special for his time period, but I don't know if he can keep up with what's the evolution of the sport, because he obviously took that time off and did the Floyd thing. He got a lot of money. You know, good for him. Good for him. I'm not hating. Frig, I would love to be in that position. Who wouldn't, right? But you got to face reality, okay? The reality is that the sport has evolved. We have new people, and the evolution started way before he even entered the UFC. There was people that were learning different styles, such as Sambo, such as like jiu-jitsu, the amount of jiu-jitsu that some of these people are possessed with, the skills, like it's unmatched. And like in the Dustin Poirier fight, he forgot about calf kicks. But actually going towards what you were talking about, Aziz, the great thing about your methodology to martial arts is that you don't even need, you can actually use that methodology for improvement, for self-reflection. You can use that in life. So that's why I think like talking about these things in martial arts, it doesn't just apply to martial arts. It can apply to a lot of different factors in your life. And in terms of, that's why I appreciated your reference to Bruce Lee. Bruce Lee was a type of person that actually wanted to use martial arts to change the world. And he was successful, but I think he could have gone even farther. So, you know, martial arts methodologies, the way you're talking in terms of approaching martial arts as a continuous evolution, right? That is key, not only to becoming a better MMA fighter, but I think it's a key to becoming a better person. So now I wanted to actually wanted to shift the conversation.
Can I just speak a little bit to Conor McGregor a little bit?
Sure,
sure. Speak to it. Yeah. So so I agree. Conor McGregor's weight class. I think he might be in the wrong weight class if we're going to speak like absolutely. Obviously, his power was a lot better at 145, 155. I mean, he hasn't really fought much at 155, but no, recently, yeah, against Poirier is at 155. But yeah, his power, his left hand doesn't quite translate. So I mean, he was sort of like a bully, right? He's like at 145, he cut a lot of weight and he just had a way bigger reach and was bigger. He was fighting midgets, as Nate Diaz was saying. So, but he's still good. Like he looks like a great. He moves really well, right? Like he's a good physically, very aesthetically pleasing to watch Conor McGregor, and his personality obviously exemplifies it, amplifies all of that too. When you say, okay, this is how I'm going to win, and then you win that way. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, his personality is one thing, his fighting style something else, and the two come together pretty nicely. So yeah, his power doesn't translate in the higher weight classes. Also, everyone's watching him. They got him figured out regarding his specialty. Like we have so much footage of Conor McGregor now, right? Especially with that, was it a 5-round battle with Nate? That was, I mean, we just learned so much about Conor McGregor in those battles. So this happens with champions where the more footage there is of them out there, the more you can sort of look at their weaknesses and their strengths and exploit those things. And that's how Amanda Nunes got dethroned as well. She got outboxed because her style, I felt, was just a little too repetitive. And so Juliana Pena, lots of jabs and crosses that would protect her head, right? The crosses, boom, boom, boom. She would strike on the inside and protect herself against Amanda's winging, more circular counter style, overhand style jabs and crosses. And Juliana would always get on the inside and stay protected there as well.
So I guess the theory behind that is those straight punches arrive quicker, right? Is that why it was as successful as these?
They arrived quicker, and also she was protecting herself. She knew that Amanda's striking was very deterministic in that they were always overhand style. So, you know, when you throw straighter shots, you get to your opponent, they hit your opponent faster, but also she was using another boxing trick where you hide under your punches. And, so she wasn't getting countered cleanly. She would get countered on her shell up here, her helmet. So she knew exactly what Amanda was going to throw, and she just believed and trusted her punches more, and defended herself, built-in defense within her strikes. So yeah, everyone's watching you at the top, right? So you have to continuously evolve, and but I mean, sometimes your strengths are your intrinsic abilities that you've been given, right? So yeah, I mean, but hey, MMA is just so diverse. There's always things to work on. Sometimes you turn into a wrestler. Like GSP was initially a striker that would finish his opponents, and then over time he turned into a wrestler that still had good striking. But yeah, no, the Dagestani wrestlers, oh gosh, they would have won UFC 1 easily. The first handful of UFC tournaments, the Dagestanis would have won that with their like gritty, technical sambo-based wrestling, which is sort of like judo-esque and jiu-jitsu, Brazilian jiu-jitsu-esque as well. It's like a mix, right? It's a mix of American wrestling, European, Russian style wrestling, sambo, judo, lots of sweeps, and jiu-jitsu because they have some submissions as well. Brazilian jiu-jitsu. So yeah,
Ortiz was the best of all of them, from what it looked like.
yeah, I agree. I agree. So just doing a time check here. We started at 1, we're at 1:30. So far we gave quick introductions. We'll probably elaborate on that over time, or the audience will learn more about us over time at least. The second thing we talked about was martial arts. I mean, that's an ongoing topic, 100%. But
One more thing I want to reference, Aziz, before we change the topic. One more thing. Is that okay if I reference it?
yeah, of course.
I wanted to talk about Khamzat Chimaev, or also known as, per Kobe Covington, Khamzat Chimaev. I'm just kidding. Okay, I love the guy. I respect the guy. Who couldn't respect him after what he's shown in his short career? The amount of hype that this man has, but it's backed up. He's backing it up. And there's a rumor, I guess him and Gilbert Burns over Twitter have agreed to a fight on April the 9th. I want to see CJ.
Oh, is that happening?
April 9th. That's the plan. What do you guys think? How do you think that's going to play out?
Ooh. First and foremost, I don't know too much about this fighter. I've only kind of just heard about him, just through word. And I've heard about Gilbert Burns. I know he's very good.
Oh yeah.
He's trained with Usman, so they have that. They share that a lot of technique together as well. So I think it's going to be interesting. I would have to find out exactly how good Khamzat is, but I don't know exactly to really give an opinion about this. It'd be interesting to learn more about him, though.
That's cool. At least you're not trying to talk out of your ass. You know what I mean? So I think you should do it. I like it. I like it. But like the way, like, okay, I'll start off what I think, okay, and then Aziz, you can go. Even though I asked both of you guys, I'm just excited to talk about this topic. So, like, what I think is the UFC is pushing this guy, and I think it's a little too fast, but it's sort of warranted because of the fact that of the way he's beating guys. Like his last fight, CJ, he lifted this guy named Liang, I think. I forget his name, to be honest with you. But he lifted him and walked across the ring as he was speaking to Dana White. Like, this man is a beast. And then he choked him out. And this guy, Liang, he's a narcotic artist, and he's very strong. So, like, Gilbert Burns was actually traditionally a 155 pounder, but some reports say that he walks around at 220. So he is a big guy, and he's also strong. But I feel like maybe they're pushing it a little too fast. It'll depend on it. I could be wrong. It will depend on its performance. But I think, like, based on the rankings, he should be fighting Neil Magny before he goes to Gilbert Burns. But, like, Gilbert doesn't want to fight his training. One of his training partners, I forgot his name. Aziz, do you know who I'm talking about?
No.
He's also an up and comer. I don't know why it slipped my mind. I have a brain fart right now. Anyways, he doesn't want to fight that guy, and Khamzat has all the hype. So if you beat him, you're gonna look huge. My perspective on it is Khamzat is great, okay, and he's proven that he's great, but I feel like he's a little too arrogant and a rash. And that was demonstrated by his beef with Khabib. Like, Khabib is not perfect. Like, no one's perfect. But, like, I think he took that a little too far. And when people are rash, right, they make rash decisions, it can translate into the octagon, right? So I feel like he might. And if he gets Gilbert Burns on the ground and he tries to, like, get him on the ground, there's a high possibility, because Gilbert Burns is a jiu-jitsu specialist. And even Usman, who's the champion, was scared to get him on the ground because he knew he was going to get submitted. So if Khamzat
Oh,
gets a little too arrogant and doesn't really like, fight within his means, he might end up in a getting submitted. So it's honestly a pretty risky fight for Khamzat. I would have if I was the UFC, I would have let him fight Neil Magny or made sure he fought Neil Magny first, because you have more opportunity to build his name up higher and higher before you give him that kind of risk. But you never know.
yeah.
He could destroy Gilbert, right? He definitely has the capability to. But what I'm concerned about is the mistakes that he can make. So I don't know. I don't know how it's gonna play out, but I'm definitely excited about it because he's one of those guys that has that Conor McGregor attitude that backs it up and that's rising, that has a potential to be a big superstar. So they're pushing him up as much as they can. What do you think, Aziz?
Yeah, Hamzat's been making a name for himself 100%, and I think the UFC is riding that. Just like destroying his opponents, complete destruction of them in every way. I mean, he's a guy that, like, when you see a picture of him, he doesn't look that big. I guess some people have like a big shape, big form construct. Not necessarily like, okay, so Hamzat, yes, he has a big frame, but it's just like the ratio of proportions, how his body is proportioned. Unless you have him standing beside another fighter, he doesn't look big. But and then other fighters that are actually smaller than him look pretty big. So I guess what I'm getting at that is there's a superficial big and then there's a functional big. I think that Hamzat, every part of his body, every muscle on his body is functional. It's useful. It's not like aesthetic versus someone like, oh gosh, what's his name? The Brazilian 185 pounder, Paulo Costa. Paulo Costa. He's got a lot of like superficial muscle on his body, right? But yeah, Hamzat, he literally, like, I saw a video of him walking beside Jan Blachowicz, the current 205-pound champion. And he was like dwarfing Yan pretty much. He looked bigger than Yan. So I think like height-wise, frame-wise, he's bigger. It's all functional. He's demonstrated how strong he is, but with what he's done to other jiu-jitsu practitioners, Hamzat's a beast. Yeah. So you're right. He hasn't really been tested. So his arrogance in how he speaks verbally might translate also to his arrogance in the ring as well. Wonder if there's a fighter that can put him through some challenges in some challenging positions and really like beat him up a little bit. How would Hamzat respond to that? And I think Gilbert Burns is a good opponent that could put Hamzat in that position. Gilbert's also a very good wrestler as well.
Yeah.
With seasoned striking, Gilbert's been through some adversity himself, gone through some ups and downs, but definitely not washed up by no means. And so yeah, he'll get tested. After that, though, he might get a title shot.
That's the thing, and that would be
Very
exciting.
possible.
We got to get him facing Usman before he retires, because if we don't get that fight, it's gonna be a huge denial of finding out who's the best. Like if comes up passes Gilbert Burns, he's facing Usman, and Usman cannot escape from him. I don't think he wants to. Usman's a gangster, dude. Whatever everybody says, oh, everyone who is against Usman, they're like, oh, he's ducking this person, he's ducking Kobe, he's doing this, he's doing that. He was the most active champion in the UFC, man. Respect this guy's name, okay? Respect, put some respect on his name, okay? Varsity.
This is varsity. What? What? I said this is varsity.
He's cringe. That's why people don't like him. He's cringe. But honestly, you cannot deny his greatness. Okay, so like that fight will be amazing. Oh yeah, and Aziz, just a correction: Jan Blachowicz is not the current lightweight champion anymore. It's Glover Teixeira. But it doesn't take away from your point. I just want people that are watching to don't think that we don't know our shit. Like, you know your technical shit. I follow MMA news like every second. You know, I'm still considered. I'd still consider myself a casual, to be honest. I don't give a fuck if you want to call me that. But whatever. All I'm saying is this fight is something that I cannot wait for. So it's gonna be great. It's gonna be interesting, and it's not a walk in the park. And yeah, like it's gonna get, if he gets by Gilbert, he's got to get that title shot. And it's probably going to be after Leon Edwards, because Leon Edwards would say, "I deserve a title shot. I deserve a title shot." And he's right, but you know, that's all he does to market himself, is say, "I deserve a title shot." You know, I've been watching the Mujahid videos, right?
I haven't seen those in a while.
That's all it is him saying that. For every video. Every video.
Yep. So yeah, lots more to discuss about on the martial arts front. Yeah, Chris, anything on your part regarding martial arts before we move on to the next topic, or did you want to select the next topic for us to chit chat a little bit?
Regarding martial arts, nothing that really sticks out. Like, I haven't actually been keeping up that heavily on the fighting scene, so it's been a while since I really like looked into that stuff. But I know you started a dojo not long ago. Maybe we can get into that.
Oh shit! I thought we were moving away from the martial arts topic, but no, okay. Where I guess
we can talk about it.
No. But we're sort of transitioning into another topic, which is, I guess, like entrepreneurial business. You know, how we're spending time during the lockdown during these times. But yeah, man. Well, the universe has lined up for me pretty nicely, alhamdulillah, with regards to martial arts and me trying to use my martial arts interest and hobby and leisure into a form of just, I guess, sharing it with more people. I was able to sublease some training space and have some people support me in that. And yeah, so Budo combat, that's the style that I teach. I have some regulars already. I have about 10 people that are pretty continuous. I'm in the process of creating my own curriculum for that. My own, Budo combat essentially is a combination of boxing, Muay Thai, and karate. And it sort of syncretizes all three. There are interrelationships between these three martial arts in particular, as well as other martial arts, but these are ones that I can speak to myself, as I've spent a lot of time in karate, Muay Thai, and I guess some boxing here and there, but I'm trying to purify my boxing a little more these days. I mean, there's always things we can work on, but yeah, Budo combat and Mississauga. I also want to do some online training as well for people outside of the city. The dojo's in central Mississauga-ish area. By all means, send me a message if you want to learn more about it, or go to budocombat.ca with a K. There's a lot of thoughts and ideas that I have with it, ranging from, morning classes, lunchtime classes, after 5 p.m., probably looking for another space for that. But definitely on the weekends, get together, for kids and adults of varying experiences. And yeah, the idea is that we focus a lot on movement and foundational universal principles of martial arts that can apply, that can serve as a foundation to learn other martial arts down the road. Or if you did want to refine these in a pure Muay Thai school or a pure karate, pure boxing school, everything you learn here will be directly applicable. So Budo sort of stands for the way of the warrior, or the warrior mindset. And it's very in a traditional aspect. So Budo is more traditional, Japanese traditional martial arts, principles, concepts, theories, traditions, culture, and then combat is combat. So we have the traditional stances and traditional methods, including, kata, for example. And then the combat side is a bit more practical. That goes into kumite, sparring, and more like actual combat stances, or more modern contemporary combat stances where you keep your hands up, and is more directly applicable and practical. Although, in my opinion, the traditional stuff is very practical as well. There's a lot of stuff built in that that applies directly. So, yeah, man, end of 2021 was pretty big for me to be able to have my own dojo that I'm subleasing with a couple other clubs, to have my own presence, my own style, to have my own students. And now I'm in the process of trying to scale and build that a little bit more. But yeah, I love it. It's being active on my feet regularly. I do have to be cautious of that. But yeah, we'll see if I really love this stuff. But I mean, I've always been teaching over the years, like informally at the various schools and academies that I've been to, whether it's in the greater Toronto area or even internationally. Like whenever I travel, I'll try to take a few classes here and there. But yeah, what can I say? I love
And you're also
martial arts.
teaching, sorry to cut you off, but you're also teaching at, like you're going to others like homes and teaching them there as well, right? Because I think the pandemic situation is that the gyms are currently closed, which means that your dojo's closed, right?
That's right. That's right. Yeah. So sometimes it just works better for clients if I go to their homes and train them, their families, or their kids there.
Yeah.
It's just not like a very scalable thing. Because I mean, usually they want to do it on specific days regularly and consistently, and that blocks off my time. But eventually, I think I'm working towards sort of like building my own instructors as well within this style, and showing them the curriculum for those instructors to eventually go to other people's homes. And I wouldn't do it as much. But yeah, as the chief instructor, I should start thinking more about frameworks and foundation methodology, and training other instructors for them to be able to do something like that. Because a lot of people are interested in martial arts. A lot of them don't have time, so you have to go to their home. So, COVID or not, yeah, they have an interest. There's a certain clientele where you can go closer to them in their garage or in their backyard or whatever. But yeah, no, I'm still, even though I've set this all up during COVID and during the lockdown, I feel very blessed, and I still feel very supported, and I'm still super motivated to get the dojo up and running. And obviously, I've sort of had the privilege and opportunity and agreement to set up a dojo with punching bags and construction work to drill things where they need to go, and to do it all in a safe manner. So yeah, I'm still motivated, but I just got to watch out for these little sprains, I tell ya. So chiro and physio.
Brains, I tell you. They get you. Bring them real nice,
Yeah. But I mean, we should turn physio and chiro into a regular thing. You know, even if we just sit at home and are on the computer all day, we will build muscular imbalances, and so we should
Yeah.
get those identified and then manage our, you know, injuries, our prevalent sprain points, our prevalent imbalances, and manage around those while we keep doing what we love to do.
Oh yeah, buddy.
Yeah, man.
Like it.
Yeah.
CJ, good looking out on helping brother, you know, identify stuff in his business. I like it. You know, I can tell as you're really passionate about this, so don't give up on it, man. Don't, like, if you're passionate about something, you know, you then you show it, you know. So, you know, keep at it, you know. I don't think you're just doing this for the money, which, you know, is actually really beautiful, you know. It's really cool. You're not doing this. It doesn't seem like you're just doing this for just the financial gain. You're doing this because you love this stuff, you know. So, you know, I wish you success, and you know, I think it's really cool.
Yeah, thanks a lot. And just to close on that topic, yeah, no, a lot of my students, um, they have some good things to say about me and my style, and they want to keep working with me on that as well. But yeah, I mean, my main goal isn't to scale this like crazy and have that be the primary goal. Um, my goal is to, you know, because martial arts is very like personal. It's personal for me. It's personal for a lot of people. It's personal for a lot of cultures as well. Um, you know, these are like sacred arts that have been cultivated and um, sort of like kept within distinct groups for a very long time. These were arts that haven't been shared globally with people. So it's on me, you know, if I want to be at my fullest mature self, um, to try to improve the character of the students for them to be able to effectively wield these martial arts in a non-destructive way. So traditions are very important in what I want to teach. So bowing culture has always been huge in any good martial arts, any martial, I don't want to say that, any old cultural effective martial arts. There's always been a respect culture there. So Muay Thai, there's bowing in Muay Thai, there's bowing in Chinese styles, Japanese styles. Respect culture is huge. So I want to really push traditions. You know, you have to be good to the martial art if you want it to be good to you, you know, so you have to respect all the traditions that come with it as well. Western boxing, I think, is, I mean, it's, I would say, like more on the newer side of the martial arts, but Western boxing is still pretty old compared to other martial arts, other sports as well. If we look at sports in the
You could
West,
argue that it's more effective too.
yeah, because it's tested, and so we have to respect those, the Western styles too, because they probably are tested regularly with the most eyes on them. They haven't been as contained, um, the rule system. So, I mean, we have a lot to observe and look at in Western boxing over the years because that's where the most footage has been recorded, I would say, the most full contact footage. But Western boxing, I mean, it's been refined over time. Like initially it was with no gloves. So you could sort of grapple a little bit. You could you had to punch, your hands were not wrapped. So you were punching a bit differently. Um, and so that's where I still think there's a lot of value in those styles of martial arts that don't rely, are not practiced in gloves all the time, such as Muay Thai and boxing. Um, I, the karate, for example, it's karate stands for open hand way. Kara, open, te, sorry, ka, open hand is ra, and then te. Oh no, my bad. Karate is, it's actually karate do. Karate do. Do is way. So, but yeah, it all stands for open hand way. So you're not holding anything. You got no wraps in your hands. You're wearing no gloves, and so your hand can be weapons, right? You can grapple in karate, the Okinawan style. You can do open-handed techniques like sword hand strikes, where you strike with the edge of your hand, or ridge hand strike, nukite strike, spear hand strike. There's a lot you can do. You can strike with these knuckles sometimes in karate. You can strike with this knuckle in karate, right? To the eye, to the nose, to the neck. So they're all different. They're all different. I mean, a karate practitioner, their hands are always tight. You know, they I would say in a real fight, they probably will not. I wouldn't be surprised if they don't break their hand, because compared to boxers and Muay Thai practitioners, they wrap their hands all the time. My hands are a little bit looser. Anyway, the martial arts, it's always like going in different directions. It's all interconnected. So many styles and sub styles and no style. And we are our own martial artist that is different than that martial artist, and yada yada, our own unique signature. We have our own unique bodies that are more, you know, that work well with better with certain techniques compared to other bodies. And so it's like, you know, we can be critical, but then we also have to not be critical. Everyone has injuries as well. Finding that right sweet spot and managing it for ourselves and respecting other people for it, and then recognizing arrogance that comes along with it too. But yeah, no, martial arts for me is play. Martial arts for me is refinement of character and all the character attributes that come with it, like focus, discipline, respect, integrity, empathy, camaraderie. So martial arts plays an important part in my life for sure. Just to close that out, sorry.
Respect. Put some respect on this man's business, eh?
No, it's not that. I mean,
I'm just doing some Ali G shit, you know?
Yeah, this is a place I'm creating space for people to learn and develop themselves, essentially. So that's something I think I'm good at. It's just a craft. Martial arts is just a craft. If only other crafts sort of approached it that way, that would be pretty awesome. But Miyamoto Musashi says, through one thing, you can know all things. That might be a bit of a stretch, but I feel that way with martial arts sometimes. I've learned a lot through martial arts. Anyway, moving on from this topic, thank you very much, CJ, for pointing that one out, for reminding us on it. What is the next topic? So, time check here. Oh, 2 o'clock. Oh gosh. Do you guys have a hard stop?
The hour.
Yo, should we consider wrapping it up, and then we, you know, because this is really, we're talking about Mortal Kombat. Sorry, not Mortal Kombat, Budo Combat. We're talking about MMA. We're introducing the channel. Next time I think maybe we should get into the other topics. Talk more about vacations, things to do during the pandemic. Well, maybe we'll talk about Cobra Kai. Stuff that's good on Netflix, it's relevant, stuff that we can talk about. I think that would be a good transition into the next podcast.
Yeah.
So that people can learn a little bit more about what we like to do, about us, and about stuff that we find interesting, right? Movies, shit to do, just having fun.
Yeah. What are your thoughts, Chris? Did we talk
totally.
about all the topics you were interested in as well, or did you want to review an additional topic?
So far, I think we've covered quite a lot of stuff for the episode 1, which is our pilot episode. So next time we can build up on different interesting things we could talk about during the pandemic, for sure, because I'm sure a lot of us don't have much going on right now. In general. So yeah, I just hope that everybody can, stay tuned and relate to what we have to say. It should be very interesting.
Dude, that's crazy, man. Okay. Yeah, sounds good, guys. Yo, I enjoyed this a lot. I mean, hey,
Likewise,
we
man.
can do another one tomorrow. No, I'm joking. You mentioned
Dude,
this gets
if I
addictive.
had it my way, we would just stay here and just talk forever. But I don't think anyone's gonna watch that. Let's be real. Maybe we will watch it and look at
We're gonna have
ourselves.
to watch it.
Yeah, we have to be the viewers at least for sure. Okay, sounds good.
We need
Okay.
at least 3. We need at least 3 viewers.
Yeah.
Got that
Okay,
down.
guys, this was awesome. Yeah, thanks everyone for joining. We appreciate your guys' time. We'll try to keep this going as well. We hope you enjoyed it. Any more closing words? I know Chris gave some good closing words just now, but how about you, Parvez?
I don't know, man. I can't beat what Chris said. I think it's I can't. I'm not gonna add on to it. It's gonna make it worse. You know, I can't beat it. Sorry, guys. That's all I got.
Parvez. All right. Okay, thanks everyone. I know you gave some, Chris, you gave some good closing words. Anything you want to add on that?
Just stay tuned.
Stay tuned. All right. Everybody, thanks again.
And have fun.
And
Peace.
words.